Hello and welcome to the Summer Sessions, a podcast where we revisit movies from our childhood. It's a show where we talk about our nostalgia behind these movies, how they got made, and just how well... Wow. That's the first time I ever fucked that up. That's crazy.
Is this we're filming the 18th episode of ever doing this. You've never screwed that up once. Until just now. We made it so far.
Let me try that one more time. I think I'm going to cut all this. This is crazy. Damn. I can't believe...
screw that up.
I can't... Imagine if I do that on the air.
I think it's funny.
It is, but that's insane.
I mean, you just braked it.
Jesus
wow.
Christ. I can't... Wow. Okay.
That was amazing.
Oh my god.
Keep it in.
I think I might have to.
I vote to keep it in.
Okay, alright. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Summer Sessions, a podcast where we revisit movies from our childhood. It's a show where we talk about our nostalgia behind these movies, how they got made, and just how well they hold up when rewatching them in the present day. That is the wordiest intro of all time.
You wrote it.
I know, which is crazy. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Warner, and joining me as always, Matthew Pelton.
Hello.
Oh my, that was a crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep that all in. Even with the audio peaking and everything.
It's the best.
It's fine.
The audio peaks, it hurts everybody. We screwed it up. It's like the worst intro we've ever done.
Oh my god. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And spoiler alert, for such a good movie. Like, I can't...
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this episode.
Interesting. Interesting sentence.
Let's break the ice a little bit and let the listeners know that we are in person.
Yeah, for the first time in like a long time.
We're on campus and
we're
back doing it in a study room in the Walker building. So
yeah, for some reason.
It's a fun time here at Greenlit, or I guess here at the Summer Sessions.
Here at
My
the
brain
summer
is
sessions.
all over the place.
It's also
today.
weird that we're doing like summer sessions. We have a couple more episodes of summer sessions, and classes start tomorrow. We're kind of cheating a little bit here.
It's the fall sessions.
We'll make a new little banner. It'll be cute.
Yeah. We are here today to talk about a movie that is long awaited in the extensive list that we have.
Yeah.
This is the one movie that I think I've brought up in almost every episode in some way, and I'm like, we have to talk about it.
It's the one where you bring it up and you add it to the list. I was like, that's the one I'm going to always delay. Like, I'll always be like, let's do a different one.
Interesting. Okay, I'm curious.
I haven't, this one, like, not like, okay, there's episodes I've been dreading, like, Fred, because I'm like, I know, like, that movie's just going to be awful. And then this one, I just couldn't be asked. I'm like, I just don't want to sit down and watch this movie.
Wow.
I just didn't.
I'm shocked. Anyways, we're here to talk today about the 2007 film B movie. And my whole life I always thought it was the B movie, but it's not.
Is it not?
There's no the. It's just B movie.
I just learned that just now. I watched it this morning.
I was unaware.
Yeah, and it should be the B movie.
It absolutely
should. It's way more fun.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I'll start with childhood stories this time because this is a movie that really shaped me as a child. I think when rewatching it, I realized this is my first ever introduction to Jerry Seinfeld. And
probably, that makes sense.
Yeah. And also, like, almost every other voice actor in this, but we'll get to that
bees.
in a sec. Well, yeah, and bees.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
although, I don't know if I ever told you this story. This is kind of a weird side tangent.
Okay.
There's this one time, I have a weird history with bees. And that's a very strange sentence to say out loud. But, there's this one time, because people will be like, oh, I got stung, like 3 times, and oh my god, it's crazy. There's this one time where I was playing basketball at a, like, park.
Okay, it's a very
somewhere.
Nick start to the story.
Yeah. In Connecticut, in my hometown, and I missed a shot, which doesn't happen very often. But I missed a shot.
We're cutting that.
I missed a shot, and the ball went into the woods, and I ran over. I was like 12 or 13, and I ran over to get the ball out of the woods, and I must have stepped on an underground beehive because I went to reach down to get the ball, and I thought that my arm grazed like a thorn bush.
Yeah, you just got nailed.
Because I just felt this horrible pain throughout my whole body. I scream, I run, I grab my ball, I start running, and I get back, and I call my mom, she picks me up, and I realize we count this the little
sting
on my body,
and
I got stung 16 times.
You pissed off like a whole colony.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Their whole system was all messed up because of me. I stepped on the home.
16 and 1.
16. And like they were still on me as I was running, so I had like 5 or 6 of them just on my body, and I had to like shake them off, and I was like going crazy. It was this horrible feeling, and I was.
And I don't blame you. Like broke their home. You stepped on them.
I mean, I don't blame them, but it also sucked.
Well, yeah, that definitely. Yeah. I've never had a single bee experience.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You never got stung?
No, I feel like most people, like especially like our age at this point, at least have one.
Mm-hmm.
Like their brother or sister. I have none, nothing.
Oh.
I've never been stung.
Maybe
I don't really see a lot of bees.
That's why you didn't like this movie.
Probably. Though the only thing is, Dad, shout out Dad, is my dad when he gets stung, he's like, I'll just die if I get stung. He's like one of those guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this is his favorite movie of all time. Yeah, he loves it.
Good. Wow.
Yeah.
I need to have a conversation.
To him,
with
it's a horror movie.
We need to get him on the show just for this episode. No, yeah, this is one of those where I watched it a lot as a kid because I had the DVD, and I just remember loving it was something about the setup of the story and the characters, and I think it was like one of those things where like I as a kid, just like everyone else in the world, fell in love with Jerry Seinfeld's like cadence.
Oh, really?
And I was just like, there's something about this bee that is like really making me excited to watch this thing. So I just watched it over and over and over and over and over.
So this is a big one.
Huge. This is like similar to Open Season for me, where it almost was like the nostalgia like got the best of me when upon rewatch.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen a ton, like, because especially for like Spy Kids or Shark Boy and Lava Girl,
It's
like
kinda,
you rewatch and you're like, nah, there's not really a ton. But like with Open Season and this specifically, I rewatched it and I was like, oh, okay, I remember why I loved it so much.
Did I like Open Season?
No.
No. We might have
you
a
like
similar
almost
repeat
violently hated it. You were like Boog, or not Boog. You were like Elliot should die in a hole. I hate that guy. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, and they were like, essentially your take was they should gun down Boog.
Yeah, which I still agree to this day.
But yeah, I loved this movie as a kid, and another like kind of big takeaway for me, and now you'll kind of understand why I really liked it, is I liked the but I wanted a theme park of this ride, this movie so badly, because like in the movie they have like a little like theme park kind of showcase thing, and I was like really, really obsessed with it, and I was
That's
like,
why I
want this, yeah. And to this day, I still want to make a ride
of
the B movie.
Okay, I know you know the answer, so I know you can't tell me yet.
Oh, okay.
But if I have to predict, I say this movie didn't make enough to warrant a theme park ride.
I won't tell you.
Yeah,
we'll get to
this. This is not a sequel, and it was like such a big cast. Like something must have happened here.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Just a theory.
Okay. Well, we'll keep that in the vault
keep it in
for
mind.
now.
Yeah.
But so what's your experience with this girl?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Are you serious?
I don't think I've ever
Just
seen
at
it.
all? This is one of those. It's similar with like. At least I thought Zathura, or when I thought about it, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the thing. Like I know of it. Obviously, I know it's Jerry Seinfeld and he plays a bee. Like you know the whole thing. But you're right. When you said it, like we added it to the list of greenlit, I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think I've ever actually seen the Bee Movie.
Yeah.
Which might be the first time in the history of the show
that you've never seen.
Yeah,
or that anyone's ever seen. Because I know there's been a couple. I actually don't know if there's been a couple. Because it feels like at least one of us. I guess that's the whole point of the show is at least one of us has had to see it. But I don't know if there... Again, other than, like, Zathura, maybe.
I know, Boy Who Cried Werewolf, the lost
episode.
Yes.
Yeah, Boy Who Cried Werewolf, I had never
seen. But
seen.
that's like a weird Nickelodeon thing
I also forgot that was a part of our lore.
Yeah, the famous lost episode.
I've never forgotten, though.
Never forgotten. But, yeah, B-Movie, I don't think I never sat down to watch it.
Interesting. Except for literally
Except for this morning. Yeah. So that could be wrong. I'm sure I'm going to get a phone call from my dad and be like, hey,
I'm sure at some point... It just crossed your mind.
At least like a scene, something. Yeah. But when I watched it this morning, nothing came back.
Interesting.
Yeah, not a single thing. Not one.
Wow.
Not one scene. Like, literally zero.
Yeah, it was like the opposite. I mean, obviously, like I said, I saw it over and over. But as I was watching it, I was like, oh, it was just like Open Season. It was like, oh, this bit and this thing and
all
this,
came.
All of it. And I was like, wow, I remember how much I love this.
I got nothing. I'm convinced I've never seen this movie.
Well, I will tell you this. This movie was produced by DreamWorks Animation.
Oh, I know, because he stings the little kid in the
beginning. Yeah, and this is what I was going to bring up, is we brought this up in our DreamWorks run, where we had like 3 in a row or 2 in a row, or whatever it was.
Bananas.
It's crazy time. We're back with DreamWorks. I remember we brought up the like new logo or like the new intro.
Oh yeah,
and we were like, oh, we like missed the old where they like could mess with it a little bit.
Yeah, it was like a little subtle like joke.
Yeah, exactly. Every single one, and this is the prime example. Yeah, it's the kid in the moon he's fishing, and then Jerry Seinfeld comes up and stings him, and then he says something in his voice, and that's it. That's it. But it was so sweet, and I was like, oh my god, I remember this intro.
This is what we were talking about. This is the good stuff.
It was great. But yeah, so it was produced by DreamWorks and distributed by Paramount, which it seems like a lot of DreamWorks movies are distributed by Paramount.
To this day, or is this just like a greenlit?
This is like a greenlit thing. I don't really know how. Like I understand it because like we're in film school and like I get how you make a movie and then it's distributed by another company, but it doesn't really make sense. Right. Yeah. It doesn't really make sense that DreamWorks like it almost feels like they should be the ones distributing.
I thought DreamWorks was big enough that they would have done that.
That's my point. I don't really get how, because this doesn't feel like a Paramount movie.
No,
it feels like a DreamWorks movie because it is a DreamWorks movie. But it's interesting that whole dichotomy.
I'm kind of curious if that's still if DreamWorks now does it themselves, or if they still like partner up with somebody.
Yeah, I know you're anxiously waiting, so I'll get to it right now. So this movie had a $150 million budget.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money. Yeah. But you also have to remember who's in this movie, who it's produced by. Well, we'll get to that. But it's like this whole kind of world of it's a
huge
comedian, massive comedian in just past his prime.
Yeah, especially Jerry Seinfeld, like that's a high ticket.
Yeah, $150 million. It grossed 293. So if you account for marketing, kind of.
Yeah, it's again usually general rule of thumb. You double the budget, so it's $300 million.
Yeah, roughly.
It's usually more than that, to be honest.
Depending, because like it also depends. Because like I was thinking about this, because I know we say that every time, but also like I don't know how marketing really went. Because obviously like nowadays it's like you have social media and yeah. But I don't know how it was back then, because I know the 2 trailers for this movie. Have you seen the trailers for this movie? No. They're live action.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to.
It's Jerry Seinfeld dressed as a bee in real life.
Like a bee costume? Is his little head poking out?
Yeah. Going around. And then at the very end of the movie, I think I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like he runs into Steven Spielberg. And then Spielberg's like, this would work better as an animated movie.
Is that really the trailer?
And that's pretty much how it happened in real life. Because apparently the story goes that
don't do this.
Seinfeld approached Spielberg
for the Bee Movie
with the idea about an animated comedy about insects. Oh. And Spielberg loved it. And he went to Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's the CEO of DreamWorks, and it got greenlit because of Spielberg. So he went in and was like, I like this, we should do this. It's Jerry Seinfeld, it's a movie, it's an animated movie about bees, here's the story. And then Katzenberg was like, let's go.
Spielberg says it, I'll do it.
Exactly. That's kind of what happened. Yeah.
Spielberg's behind the Bee Movie, it's his fault?
Pretty much.
No offense, it's his fault.
No. But also, like, that's part of the trailer. So, like, it's kind of like this weird... at least I think. I could be wrong. But
I didn't even know that they were friends. Like friendly enough that, like, they would do marketing together and, like, he could pitch a movie. Like, he feels comfortable pitching a movie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, it is wild. But yeah, to go back to the budget, it definitely didn't make enough to where it would warrant a theme park, but like ride or whatever. But if you think about it, that's just box office. We're not thinking this is the era of home movies.
That is true.
So DVD sales, I'm sure it like quadrupled that number. Yeah. Because I know everyone in my town had B Movie on DVD. I had it. Like everyone I knew owned this on like some sort of physical
copy.
Yeah.
There's not a sequel.
No, there's not a sequel. That's another thing that I was going to bring up. Okay. The main thing that Seinfeld kind of openly stated to everyone was that he didn't want a sequel.
Oh, so
because he didn't want the lack of originality with a sequel. Because I guess he like famously doesn't like sequels.
Okay,
like the idea of sequels.
He seems like the type.
Yeah, but it also like just thinking about it in the lens of right now with strikes and 2023 and all these sequels coming out. I just watched the live action Little Mermaid. Like we're it's I get where he's coming from with the lens of like nowadays, because now mind you, some sequels are great and like they're deserved, and they're sometimes even better than the original. But a lot of
Star
sequels,
Wars, like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings too. Yeah, Dark Knight. Yeah.
But a lot of sequels are garbage and do not deserve to be. I saw a trailer today for like before Little Mermaid for like the third or fourth Trolls movie, and I was like,
yeah, I keep seeing that too.
Like, I was like, I get it because it makes money, but at the same time, like, that's kind of the point of why Seinfeld was like, I don't want to see.
Well, like, for me, there's like a weird kind of middle ground. So like, you have Seinfeld, which seems like on the very polar opposite spectrum of like screw all sequels entirely. Like, they just seem like cash grabs.
Yeah.
This whole, and then I found out relatively recently through like some sort of movie podcast I listened to that there's like this saying in the industry of like, if you don't do a sequel, it's just leaving money on the table.
Yeah,
like, why not do it? So it's literally just for money, like in terms of that perspective. I think the best version is like somewhere in the middle. Like, hey, if they come up with like a cool reason or story to bring it back, then let's go for it.
Definitely.
But if you're forcing it, then don't like that. Screw that. Like, I get where he's coming from there, but I think he's a little too extreme.
Oh no, I think
I mean? Like,
I think
no sequel ever to anything.
In this case, he's too extreme. But then you also think of like, in my opinion, the most legendary Pixar movies are ones without sequels. There's three of them. Can you name all three? Think about the three. Up. It's all in the same like
Wall-E.
3 or 4 years. Up, Wall-E, and what's the last one?
Oh wait, don't say
it's one of the most famous ones.
I'm just gonna think out loud. I know Cars has sequels, Toy Story has sequels. Which I think early Pixar. Good stuff.
It's that era. It's like literally in like the 5 or 7 years those three came out, and they never had sequels. And I think they were all not directed by the same person, but it was the same like 2 or 3 people either wrote, produced, or directed, and they were famously like, we are not.
Wow. Oh wait, wait. I thought of a third one, but I don't think it's one you're thinking of. The Good Dinosaur.
It's not The Good Dinosaur, but that is one that doesn't.
There's also like recent stuff doesn't count.
No.
There's still a chance.
This is early like legendary.
Yeah, but then I'm not even gonna count.
Has theme park rides. Literally everyone loves this thing.
I know people are screaming. I know people are listening. They know.
It's Maddie's one of, if not Maddie's favorite, and one of my favorites.
What?
It's a little guy scurries around.
Little rat. My brain immediately went to freaking Ratatouille. I was gonna say Stuart Little. I was like, I don't think that's Pixar, but I can't think of it. That's true. None of those have sequels.
Those are the three. They came out in like a 5 or 7 year span, and they were predominantly. I think Pixar I don't know exactly how the story goes, but it's something like Pixar hired these 2 or 3 people that were like legends, not legends, but they became legends because of these movies.
Yes, it is.
They predominantly worked on these 3 specific films where like you're never ever creating sequels for these.
Allowed.
And then the 3 kind of got locked in as 3 of the best Pixar movies of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I'm saying is like in that regard, like yes,
but then you have stuff like Toy Story, where like kind of so like Toy Story 2 and 3, you could argue are better than the first one. Like they're great. Yeah. But I know there's Toy Story 4 is kind of like a weird. You either really like it or you don't. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
So like you kind of. And now they announced Toy Story 5, like
which is crazy.
Yeah, we were like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like, even if the story's great, like I feel like this is too much. This is too much.
I think it is just like this Seinfeld pretension that
a little bit,
but at the same time, like, what even would B Movie 2 look like?
Well, that's the thing. Like, if he was like, I can't picture a sequel to B Movie specifically. Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But it does come across a little bit as like that Jerry Seinfeld, like, it's almost like a little snobbish. I hate to say that. But a little bit.
You're right.
Where he's like, all sequels are just money, cash grabs.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, like, that's
coming
not
from a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on.
It's crazy. Anyway, so this movie was directed by 2 people. Okay. One is named Simon J. Smith, and this is his directorial debut, which is another movie. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Especially to work so closely with Seinfeld and all these people.
Yeah, like
it's
Spielberg.
Pretty
like, that's a cool start.
It's a cool first movie.
Not as cool as like River Fork Community College, but
right. And then another person named Steve Hickner, and Steve worked a lot in CG animation, and he also, this is my little fun fact. I love this. Okay. I read this and I was so excited.
Can I guess?
Yeah, but you're never gonna guess.
Oh, then never mind. I was thinking like you're gonna tell me he did the Disney College program or something.
It's in the realm. No, he didn't do the Disney College program, but he directed Shrek 4D, which is the Universal attraction.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. R.I.P. because that thing's closed.
Like everywhere?
Well, because I don't know if they have it in Hollywood, but I know that the one in Florida closed. because they wanted to make that like street. They call it. It actually just opened. Pretty recently. It's called Minion Land now.
Oh, that's awful.
And so they opened.
That's awful.
Okay, get this. You're gonna get a kick out of this. I'm so excited about this. So they have the original Minions ride, which used to be across the street from Shrek 40. So Shrek 40 is this massive building. So it's
I remember. Yeah.
So they closed that down. They were like, we're doing Minions Land.
Horrible idea.
So they have the original Minion ride. And then across the street where Shrek used to be, they have a like eatery, and then a shop, and then a new Minions ride.
There's 2 Minions
rides. But get this, it's I've never been on it, and I really want to go, but it seems ridiculous. So it's a ride where again you have to wait in line. It's a normal theme park ride, but you're on like a moving walkway, and you have these little blasters, and there's screens on either side, and you just have to shoot the minions, and that's literally it.
To shoot minions? Okay, you know what? Screw Shrek 40. That sounds way more fun. That sounds awesome,
dude. It's insane, and like they opened it, and they have like this whole like marquee in the front of it that's like Minion Land, and it's like the statue with all these minions, and it but like. Poor Shrek 4D.
It does kind of suck, but I'm convinced that they made that ride just for like. Okay, let's say you're going. It's Universal, right? Let's say you're going to Universal and you're like the older brother and you have like a younger brother.
Yeah.
The younger brother goes on the first Minion ride.
Yeah.
And you don't like Minions because you're like 12.
Yeah.
So you go to the one you just shoot them up. You know what I mean? They built that for those kids. That's exactly why they built it. No, I'm convinced that you shoot minions.
But yeah, literally,
12 minutes.
But you're like you wait in line for like an hour to. I mean, at this point, it's like 3 hours just to stand more.
That does kind of
like
suck.
it's not like you're we're enjoying the AC, we're sitting down.
No,
like you're just standing, and it's just a giant room with screens. Like it's not like anything.
Like that is kind of the beauty of like almost every ride in like Universal or like Disney or whatever is like it's all AC. Usually it's inside. If it's not, you're still sitting. It's just like a nice break.
Yeah.
But just to stand.
And also, like, you're not really experiencing much. Because it's just, like, a video
Well, you get to shoot minions.
I mean, sure. But, like, it's not like you're sitting down and you're experiencing, like, the ride technology and, like, all this cool stuff and whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's actually really true. Because even, like, okay, so just a couple weeks ago, me and my friend went to Coney Island. I always screwed up with Asbury Park, but went to very different things. Went to Coney Island and they have like this 4DX like zombie experience.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like indoor, you sit in and you got these goggles and this giant screen.
They're so cool.
But the whole thing moves and sprays stuff at you while you're shooting zombies on the screen. So like that's like the best example of it.
Right.
But if that was you're just standing
on a moving walkway.
And this like airport thing was just moving you, that's so not as cool. That sucks.
Not at all.
You know what? I said screw Shrek 4D, bring it back.
No, dude, bring it back. Also, cool thing, just really quick, they have basically every single like show piece in an antique mall in Florida.
What?
So like they have like like in the pre-show they have like the 3 little pigs in like these big cages.
Okay.
Because Lord Farquaad or whatever like trapped them.
Or something. That's
but you can buy those like traps in this antique mall in Florida for like $20,000.
No one's bought them yet?
No. And there are like whatever is 100,000, whatever it is.
Okay, wait, that is kind of sick.
And they sell all the 3D glasses there too.
Oh, that's
so you can get them for like $1. Yeah. But they have like all like the signs, like the fast pass signs, whatever, like all that stuff. And so they just give them to this antique mall. It's like this massive antique mall.
Might as well.
In Florida.
It's gonna toss.
And they because they have all like the Disney and Universal stuff. So I went there. And I went crazy. Like
you didn't get.
It's huge.
What did you get?
The only thing I got was okay. So if you're familiar at all with like old theme park like ticket books, they have they have this thing called like an A ticket, a B ticket, a C ticket, all the way down to like F or whatever it is. So it's basically like you buy the book and then you can use the individual like physical tickets for rides. If that makes sense.
Do you just like rip it out of the book and like hand it to the book?
So e-ticket is what we refer to for like the biggest rides. So like Space Mountain, Splash Mountain.
Do they still do this?
No. Because it's all on your phone. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I went, like I was seeking out an e-ticket, like an original.
Like the
e-ticket.
big ones.
Yeah. And I found one.
Oh.
And I have it, and it's like little framed.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, and it's from Disney World from like the 70s, like when it opened.
Am I allowed to ask how much it was?
$30.
Oh, that's not horrible.
Yeah, no. And to be like an original.
Yeah, from like.
It says like void on the thing. And it's like from from the 70s.
That is pretty sick.
Yeah, it was
credit for that.
And it was actually cool because it was the only e-ticket in the entire place. This place is enormous. I'm talking like like super Target level, like warehouse, like massive.
Okay.
And it's all Disney Universal stuff. And
which actually is a really cool idea.
So cool.
Yeah, I want to do that.
And they had like a shitload of like A tickets, B tickets, C tickets, but they didn't have any E tickets. And the one I found was at like the bottom of a pile.
Oh, so you really searched for it.
I spent the whole day. I was like, I think I was with Maddie, and I was like, I'm not leaving here until I find it.
You find the E-ticket?
And then I found it, and I was like, I don't have the money. She was like, dude, you came here for this reason.
You have to do it.
So now I have it sitting in my room at home.
Well, like the only thing, because keep in mind, I'm obviously not like as obsessed with that stuff. Like, not in like a bad way, but like, I think it's actually really cool. Yeah. But the only one that I love to death is Haunted Mansion.
That's where Maddie worked.
So cool. Like, I have a weird obsession with Haunted Mansion. Like I always look up like the lore videos. Dude, I saw the new movie 4 times in theaters and in IMAX, 3D, Dolby.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. So like if there was something Haunted Mansion at that store, that's the only thing I'm buying.
There's tons.
Tons.
Let's
get in the car.
Yeah.
If they had like, I always see like on Etsy, you have like those big like, they replicate the signs like on the rides, and I'm always looking at like trying to find a cheap Haunted Mansion like replica like I have at my house one day. Decades from now.
I have a sign that I got like before I moved in to Florida, like last time I went. And it's like the beware of hitchhiking ghosts, and it has like
that's so
it's like a cool little white sign.
Did you get it from the store or was it like a replica?
Oh yeah, just like a little replica.
That is pretty sick.
Anyways, that's all a side tangent on Steve Hickner, but
that's why.
Or no, I'm sorry, Simon Smith. That's the guy who did the Universal Shrek thing. But
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Well, not to him, but to the right. Steve Hickner worked primarily as a storyboard artist for feature animation, and this isn't his directorial debut. This is his second movie, but he was the director of The Prince of Egypt, the animated movie.
Oh, I've never seen it. I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I watched it a couple times. It's actually a kid from high school. It was his like favorite movie of all time. Yeah,
The Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, but so he directed that, and then it was like first time for the one guy, second time for this guy, and which is crazy. So this movie was written by 4 people, Jerry Seinfeld included. So Seinfeld,
that's very obvious.
Yeah, wrote it. Spike Lee? God. No, imagine. Spike Ferriston, Barry Martyr, and Andy Robin. And all 3 of those other guys that's not Seinfeld were either writers for Letterman, like late night, or Seinfeld.
Oh,
like they were all
so
Seinfeld.
he got probably his own people to write this.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't, to be honest, I thought it was, like going into it, I thought it was they came up with the idea and they wrote it and then they pitched it to Jerry Seinfeld. I didn't know Jerry Seinfeld was this involved. Like, it was his idea. It's his writers.
I think he wrote, produced, starred in, and like he had like several roles.
Crazy.
Yeah, this is like
I
his
had no
baby.
idea. Like this is a Jerry Seinfeld movie.
Yeah, a film by Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, a film by Jerry Seinfeld.
I'm actually surprised he didn't direct it.
Like, I would say, like, even like a co-direct, like some sort of directing credit.
Yeah, because he did almost everything else for it.
That's
starred,
like,
written,
shocking.
and produced.
That's so weird. That's so weird.
Yeah, because you'd think for a person like that, especially him, like not that he doesn't take notes, but like I feel like he would be the type of person, especially for an animated movie that's like his baby. He would just be like, no, I'm just directing it. This is my thing.
Yeah, because like, especially he's also like a writer, so he knows exactly how it's supposed to be delivered and stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, so the score is by a guy named Rupert Gregson Williams. And
cool name.
Sounds familiar.
It does.
It's because he did the music for Over the Hedge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, another this is another recurring movie character. Where it's another recurring character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a cool thing, kind of a cool thing that I found that I wanted to bring up is that this was nominated. Well, not only this, but we'll get to this. It was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Annies, the Golden Globes, and the Critics' Choice.
Not Oscars.
Now, it doesn't say that.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure. I don't think so. But the cool thing about this is all kind of in our realm, and I'll get to that in a second. So, in 2005 at the Annies, this is all Annies, but it's just stick with me here.
Yeah. Okay.
2005 in the Annies, Chicken Little. This is like three years in a row. It's all Greenlit movies. Chicken Little lost to Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit,
which is on our list. Yeah.
2006, Over the Hedge and Open Season lost to Cars.
Oh.
And then 2007, B-Movie and Surf's Up lost to Ratatouille.
That's so weird.
It's a crazy thing where like 6 of our movies 3 years in a row all lost.
Well, we have
except for
we have a future winner coming up.
Yeah. But at the Annie Awards, which is like the animated. For those who don't know, it's like the animated animated movie.
Yeah. Like the Oscars is all animated.
Yeah.
Though also, it's weird you said Wallace and Gromit. That's kind of freaky because one, I didn't know is that well respected, to be honest. I always thought it was just this weird little niche movie that I knew as a kid. But then two, I was on Netflix because big movies on Netflix. And immediately, if you go to like the homepage, it said just added, and the second one was Wallace and Gromit.
I think
twice it's come up.
Yeah.
Just maybe it's calling our name. Maybe that's
I was
going
gonna
on
say
here.
after the Hoodwinked and Zathura.
Yeah.
Fine. It was nice to have a movie that was on a streaming service that was in
easy
1080p that I could skip. That I could.
You didn't watch it in German or some nonsense.
But yeah, so all that being said, that's all I have for production. And there's no summer songs this week again.
What year
because this is 2007, Surf's Up, which is 2007 as
well.
Yeah, because
listen to Surf's Up.
This and Surf's Up also, they lost to Ratatouille.
Yeah. Which is not surprising, but
yeah. No, I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, that's all for production. So going into plot.
Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, this is where we start. I will start just by saying that I was taking notes, obviously while watching the movie on plot, and this is another one of those things where it's like a blink and you miss it kind of thing, where it's like the plot moves so fast that I was like, oh, I'm writing down these things, but I don't even know if it's important, and then I'm missing other things, and I'm like, at a certain point, I was like, I'll let a whole scene play out, and then I was like, okay, what of that is actually important?
That's fair.
So if I miss like specific jokes, like, because there are a lot of like digs on bees, like bee puns and like all this stuff throughout, but I like just bear with me if it's just like very straightforward.
Okay, and I just watched it this morning.
Yeah.
But you know me, I don't remember these movies ever, so we'll see what happens here.
But yeah, so we open with, like I was saying before, the bee alternate DreamWorks logo. Which is what I miss more than anything.
Yeah, I do. That is pretty nice to see.
And then there's a voiceover that says like statistically bees shouldn't be able to fly, and there's like this whole thing, and they're basically like
stupid bees are.
Yeah, then the bees were like fuck you, Mother Nature, we're flying, like that whole thing, and then the movie starts. But a cool thing I want to point out is the guy who did the voiceover is Jim Cummings, who's the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh no way!
Which is pretty cool. Yeah,
cool.
And also Winnie the Pooh kind of shows up in this movie for a second.
He does?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a blink and you miss it. Yeah, it's a blink and you miss a thing. But it is pretty cool that they put him in it.
Yeah,
but
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
kind of pay tribute.
Which also, again, not really sure how that works with like IP, because it's like not. He doesn't say any lines, so it's not the Jim Cummings Winnie the Pooh, but it's.
Because Winnie the Pooh is in the original one is now in public domain, but that's only recently it was in public domain.
Yeah, this was 2007. This is what I'm saying. I don't know if it's...
And it's DreamWorks and Paramount.
Technically not Winnie the Pooh, but he has a red shirt and piglets there too. It's like a whole thing.
I don't know, maybe it's got permission. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who owned, I guess, Winnie the Pooh? Was it Disney?
Well, Disney produced 2 movies with them, and then a shitload of TV shows.
Yeah, because I know Disney still owns like a version of Winnie the Pooh.
That's where it gets dicey.
Yeah, it gets complicated. The original Winnie the Pooh is public domain, but not the Disney version.
Right.
Yeah, because that's
how they tried to save Mickey.
They keep extending it. They don't want to go public domain.
Yeah. But yeah, so then we open, and it's Barry B. Benson, who is the main character, voiced by Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
He picks out his outfit for the day. It's the black and yellow bit where all of his clothes are black and yellow. Yeah. And then he gets ready for graduation. It's his graduation day.
Yeah, which we're seniors.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, this will be us soon.
Pretty cool stuff. I also I've seen this movie so many times, didn't realize that they were graduating.
Really?
College or whatever, college, whatever.
Yeah.
I just never really put that together because I didn't really know what that was as a kid. So I was just like,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I was like, oh, they're going to the ceremony, they're throwing hats up, and then
they're working.
Yeah. But yeah, I really, really like is not a strong enough word. I love the world building in this. Like because they're in this hive, and this is their home, and this is their area. This is like where they live and thrive, and it's the city, whatever. But like, it's kind of like Hop, where like you go inside that world, and then everything is like exactly how you would picture it.
Beat me by 1 second. Yeah. I was just gonna say it's literally what we praised Hop for.
Yeah.
Where like the world that they made is like so good,
stunning.
I will say I won't fully say it, but you can kind of sense so far that I'm not a biggest fan of this movie.
Sure.
I won't say how I felt, but clearly it's very clear. But the whole hive world is all great. Yeah. I was like, this is cool. I was very into it.
Yeah, so he jumps in his car, I think. Yeah, he gets in his car, and he picks up his friend Adam, who...
Matthew Broderick. Ferris Bueller. It's
Ferris Bueller, yeah. I didn't realize that until this watch. Because, like, I didn't, really? I kind of knew, like, when I was thinking about it, like, oh, it's Jerry Seinfeld. I didn't know anyone else's voice, except for Ken, but we'll get to Ken in a bit.
Yeah.
Because this is huge for
there's also another famous voice in this.
Oh, Renee Zellweger's in this as well.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's
I was thinking the mosquito
girl. Oh yeah, Chris Rock.
Yeah,
this was my introduction to Chris Rock too.
Oh, there you go.
So it was actually a quick funny story. When I was watching Chris Rock's special, like this past year or whenever the newest one is on Netflix.
I don't remember. I don't know if he's had one since then. I'm not sure.
It just came out like this past year.
Oh, then it's definitely not Tambourine.
Yeah. And I was watching it. And he's going in. He's like a very raunchy comic, and I never knew him as a comedian. I just knew him as an actor.
Oh, this is the one with the Will Smith one.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah. He's no joke.
Very raunchy, but very like raunchy and you know R-rated, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was great comedy, and I was like, he's a legend.
I really liked it. Yeah.
But I didn't. It almost caught me off guard because the only times I've ever really seen him, because I've never seen a special of his, which I realized after watching that one. Is I was like, oh, I've only, like, Being Movie was my introduction to him. And then I saw him in, like, the Adam Sandler, I think it was Adam Sandler, like, football movie.
I don't know.
Like, an old football movie that he's in as well. And, like, he was very PG in that.
That was it.
And then also when we saw him in New York.
Let's say we did the big New York City
but
Still
that
Rising
wasn't,
thing.
like, he wasn't, like, too crazy.
No.
At least compared to this special.
Well, my memory with the New York City Still Rising thing is, it was Chappelle.
He was drunk.
He was drunk as hell. So I don't think Chris Rock was supposed to go on stage.
No, he wasn't.
He was just there as like Dave Chappelle's friend.
He was in the green room. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he came out because like he was like Dave Chappelle's just like so drunk. Mm-hmm. Like this is insane. So like none of it was prepared, which is kind of why it's also like one of the coolest shows I've ever seen. It's just the two of them riffing for like 40 minutes. But I guess that's true. Like, I've never seen like we saw him live, but we didn't see him live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then I think also like if I had seen other comedy specials, I wouldn't have been as.
Like,
not thrown off, but as surprised. Yeah. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my god. And then as I was watching this, it kind of brought me back and I was like, oh, that's why I had that visceral reaction. It's because I was like,
Chris Rock, you know.
This is the Chris Rock I know. He's just a mosquito that wants to like suck on, I don't know, blood from moose blood? I don't know. Whatever that joke was.
Yeah, some animal, yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, he picks up his friend Adam, who is Ferris Bueller. And they...
Also, by the way, his second appearance on Summer Sessions. Not even just the show, like specifically Summer Sessions. Because Lion King 1.5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he came back for that.
True. So they graduate, and it's very quick because there's like this whole bit about like because there's so like their life expectancy of bees is like very short, and there's so many of the bees that like there are so many jokes of all right, this is like a very quick graduation, and then they
right to work.
They
give them like the hats. Yeah,
and they talk about how their schooling was 3 days because that's how quick their lives are. I thought that was pretty funny. But they graduate at 9. It's like the 9:15 a.m. like graduating class because they have them every 15 minutes because there's so many bees.
Oh, that's what that was.
I
didn't.
This is the first time I ever caught it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So he was like, it was like 9 o'clock, and then he hits a button, and it's like 9:15.
Another class.
Yeah. And they graduate very quickly. There's no like commencement or anything.
Nope.
But and just a general note, like I forgot how quickly they throw you into the story of this thing. Like they really just go so quick. Like when I was thinking about this prior to watching it, I remember them going on like that little boat ride, like through the Honex or whatever it's called. I almost said Honeywell. But that's not no. I think Honeywell is a company my dad worked for, and then I was like Big Well, and I was like, no, that's robots.
That's robots. Yeah.
My brain just went 100 miles a minute.
Doesn't Honeywell make the graham crackers? Did I just make that up?
It's something like that.
Maybe I'm in like a s'mores mood because I just wrote a script that has a lot of s'mores in it, so now I'm like Honeywell.
Dude, we can make s'mores.
We have to. By the way, I want you to know that the script I wrote, a little exposition to the audience, maybe this ended up being cut, but just to the audience, what's going on. The script I wrote, there's a lot of s'mores making in it.
Yeah.
But in real life, we have to make those s'mores.
Yeah.
Which means that is going to be the best set ever. It's just, what's for dinner? S'mores.
Well, we should probably have dinner, but...
Nope. That's our crafties.
I'm cutting this from such a fucking whore for s'mores.
No, dude, keep that in, so fine.
The pacing of this is super quick. But they graduate and they immediately start orientation for Honex. That's their That's their Honex Industries, which is their
big company within the hive. I guess.
Yeah. And that's how I think the whole thing is like they're the ones that make the honey, and the honey is what they eat to survive. And so that's why in like later scenes,
when it's found out,
that humans are stealing honey. That Barry B. Benson has like this whole freak out.
Which we'll get into, because I have a big question about that.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
But their commencement seats turn into like a tram or like a vehicle.
Yeah, it's very amusement park-esque.
Exactly. Yeah. I had such a good time watching this, especially now. And they have this little joke about keeping antennas and like stingers or whatever in the vehicle at all times. And then they say it in Spanish, just like in Disney, where they have like the.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Dude, it brought me back. I was so excited. Like anytime you're on like the monorail, they have it in English and they have it in Spanish. And it's like the specific voice, and then that voice it was like kind of similar. It was like a lady's voice, and I was like, oh my god.
So now we know why you love this movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that one scene, and the rest of it can go to shit. No, I was so excited, but yeah, and then the lady who like kind of runs the like the tour. She showcases all the jobs they can pick from, but the catch is that they work there forever.
Yeah, until you die, just straight up.
Until you die, because again, their life expectancy isn't much, and their only purpose in life is to like make the honey and work, and they're worker bees. That's the whole thing. Yeah, and everyone in the like tram thing loves the idea except Barry. He kind of like zones off, and he's like, "What? Our whole lives?"
Yeah. There's also like no vacation days, right? Don't they say like it's every day?
Yeah.
Literally, like every day until you die.
Mm-hmm. So then. They see the pollen jocks, which are these big, beefy, like bees with like these like jetpack, like backpack things, and like helmets.
Yeah.
And Barry wants to like try that out so he can leave the hive. That's kind of his goal. He's like, I don't want to stay here.
With some woman bee. Did he like put pollen on himself? He pretended he was one of them. Then he got caught a little bit. Right?
Yeah. And then they kind of bully him. After that,
we'll show up tomorrow, loser, but you won't.
And challenge it. Yeah, they challenge you to go out into the real world. So that's kind of like the little scene where you kind of see him like, I don't want to do this forever. I want to go do what they do because they go out every day and see what the world has to offer.
It's very not like getting bullied into it, but going to the world. It's very hot.
Yeah,
like I want to leave this world just for like the real one. Like not to like a bad degree because it's not the movie's fault.
Right.
But I remember when that hit, I was like, oh, I've seen this.
Yeah. Well,
like, we've been down this road.
That's a lot of, especially watching movies from our childhood. We've seen so many different iterations of that.
Yeah, that's very true.
Those few stories where it's just this but different characters.
Wasn't that my thing with? It wasn't Surf's Up. What was the movie right after Surf's Up that we did? And I said I was like, it's literally just the plot of Surf's Up.
Robots.
Oh, it was robots.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't like robots that much because I was like, oh, it's literally just copy and paste of Surf's Up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, again, I feel bad for robots because, again, that wasn't the movie's fault. Like, I just happened to watch Surf's Up first. And I kind of feel bad for this one because, again, I happened to watch Hop first.
Right.
Which, there is, like, a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Like, moving forward, especially. But there was a point where I was like, I'm not super into it. Like, I am a fan of the world, but I'm like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
Like, we've done this before.
Definitely. But, yeah, so he goes back home, and we see his parents... And his parents are very set on him being in the honey industry because they were like they're very set in their ways and they're very like you have to like do the work that I did and this is just how it is. And there's kind of a little hint at the because Jerry Seinfeld's Jewish, but like at the family being Jewish. But we'll get to that in a second.
They also have a weird Jewish joke later.
They have really it's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But they have like all the weird stereotypes that of like Jewish parents and whatever. But I'll just say it now because we're already talking about it. The term they use is bee-ish.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and every single time like Adam and Barry are together and he's like, oh, is she bee-ish? Is she like, it's so bee-ish of them. And I'm like, oh, it's just Jewish. It's Jewish. And I think they like openly state that in some of like the press releases for the movie, and they're like, this is like a thing that we do. But I never noticed it until now, which is like one of those like kids movie
like you
hidden things that only parents see.
So there was, I don't know if it was the Larry David. Yeah, it was the Larry David one where they literally say like the real life Larry David. He's like
Larry King.
I mean, when I say Larry David, when is Seinfeld in my defense? Larry King. And they're talking about the real life Larry King. Spoiler alert: there's a B Larry King in this movie.
Yeah.
Because this is the movie we're dealing with. But they say, like, the real life one, like, yeah, he's a bit more Jewish. And they said it, and I was like, whoa. Like, they just said that in the movie. I was so stunned to hear that in, like, a movie just for kids.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
I think when they're talking about that, they were talking about they were talking about the real life
Larry King.
Yeah. But it's funny because they know that Jewish is a human thing, and B is just the B thing, bees, which is pretty funny. But yeah, so the next day, Barry and Adam go to pick their job, and Barry sneaks away to go out with the pollen jocks because that's like his. He wants to go out. They not bully him, but they're like, "Are you sure you're up for it?" And he's like, "Yep." And he gets ready and he goes out.
I get why it happened, but a little part of me, like, the captain walked up to him. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I want to do it." He's like, "Okay." No way, that's crazy.
He's not built at all like the other guys.
He's so small.
Yeah. But go off, I guess. But he goes out into the real world and immediately loves it. Like, he falls in love. Yeah. Every single thing that he sees is like, it's like the water and the trees and like everything. It was nice. But so he kind of sees them, getting the nectar out of the flowers and then like repollinating, and they kind of explain like basically pollination. They just take it and put it on other ones, and that's how
like guns.
The flower. They have guns to do it, which is awesome. But so. Yeah, the pollen jocks they report a moving flower, and they're like, "What is going on here?"
I forgot about this.
And it turns out to be a tennis ball.
Yeah.
And they land in the tennis court, and Barry grabs onto one, and he gets stuck, and he ends up in a tennis match with Ken and Vanessa.
Yeah.
Which are like the two kind of main characters for like the human world.
But one of them is voiced by someone.
But one of them, Ken, is voiced by a guy named Patrick Warburton, and he's third. This is his third movie.
Let's go.
It was Hoodwinked.
Hoodwinked was first.
And then what was the third one?
I was hoping you remembered. I only remember Hoodwinked.
Because I want to say it was all summer sessions.
I think it is. I think it's all summer sessions.
Oh.
I know Hoodwinked was first. Is that open season? Is it?
It was open season.
It was
open season's not out. I went onto the.
That's why.
I'm gonna come. I went onto the Apple Podcast and I was like, where?
Open season. Yeah, it's not out yet.
Yes, he's in open season and
Hoodwinked.
And now this.
Three. So we've had Matthew Broderick twice, and then this guy
three times.
That's wild.
And I realized when I was watching this movie, because I think in the open season episode, I said like this was my introduction to him.
Oh yeah.
I think that's wrong. Because when I was watching this movie, I was like, no, this is exactly where I remember him from. When I was thinking about the B movie before we did it, I remember just Seinfeld. I kind of remembered,
that's all I knew.
His voice in it, Warburton. And when I remembered open season, when I was thinking about open season, all I remembered was Patrick Warburton.
Oh, there you go.
But when I was watching this one again, it kind of dawned on me that this was the first time that I ever saw him in anything. Oh. And then he's a voice in a video game I used to play. I don't know if you ever played it, Skylanders. It was like a huge thing, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know what it is because like there's a lot of Crash Bandicoot stuff in there, and I did Crash as a kid.
Yeah. But he was a voice in that. He was a voice in this. He was those other two movies.
Okay.
And then he's the Soren guy in Disney. So he's the pre-show Soren guy.
Yeah.
So he is so in my world that like
he is a big one.
Huge.
For both.
And like it makes sense with his voice, but like again when I watched this, I remembered it so vividly that like this was the first time because I remembered that character being synonymous with his voice, and every time I heard it after, all I could think of was Ken.
See, I think I think Open Season came out before Hoodwinked, though, right?
I think so, yeah.
Though my memory is I knew him from Hoodwinked.
Which could very well be
true. Could be true, yeah. Or maybe he just left a bigger impression on me than Hoodwinked than he did. I just forgot.
Yeah, because he's not a huge character.
He's not, and in Hoodwinked, he's like one of the leads.
Yeah.
Good for him. It's cool he keeps making appearances. We gotta get him.
We have to. That's what he's successful. No. that would probably be.
Dude, that's gonna rock our world if we get him.
If I got to speak with him at all,
just his voice,
that would change my life.
Him saying, "I can't believe this got greenlit."
I can't believe this got greenlit.
That's kind of good.
Dude, I love every time Maddie and I go on Soren, we always just say the whole spiel. Nice work, pal. Anyways, yeah. So they start playing tennis, and he's on the tennis ball. And Ken goes to hit it, and he hits it out of the tennis court. And he gets launched out of tennis court, and he bounces into a car, and the whole family freaks out. The grandma tries to kill him, and then he escapes the car, but is caught in a rainstorm. and this is bad for bees. Like,
it rains. Bees
good.
can't fly, which I didn't know. Bees can't fly in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh god, I gotta get back. Like, this is not great. But he gets pelted with raindrops, and he lands magically in Ken and Vanessa's house, like on their windowsill into their house.
I was stunned. It was the same family.
But yeah, because by the time it started raining, they went back to the house. So they must not live far from the tennis.
It must be walking distance.
Yeah.
Sure. It is very. Has this been? There's no way. Though I can't remember. Has this been our first movie? You know how there's like all those movies that are very much like we love New York City.
Yeah.
Is this our first one on Greenlit? That's like a pro New York City movie?
Probably.
I think it is, because I am not a fan of those movies whatsoever, because I don't like New York City.
Where they glorify New York City?
Yeah, it's just a clearly like, we just love this place.
I only really like them because I can watch it and not go to the city. And I can be like, this is what I love about it, and I don't even have to go. Like, they make a nice little, like, you know, it's like an hour, they're always like an hour and a half, and they go, like, prime example, and I'm about to start watching it because it's now fall. When Harry Met Sally. That's New York is a character in the movie.
That's a great example.
And that's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh,
and
no shit.
I love it. And every fall I watch it because it's like a comfort movie because the cinematography is great, the acting is great, like everything about it I love. And it's one of those movies where I watch it and I'm like, dang, New York's great, and I'm so glad I don't have to get up to go see it. I can just watch this perfect thing. Whereas New York is a character.
I don't like New York so much that in the movie where they're like, look how great this is. I'm like, no, I don't believe you. Like.
But that was also a big thing with Seinfeld because he's such a New York guy. Where he was like, it has to be set in New York, and like they go to LA for 2 seconds and they come back.
They go right back. Yeah, it's such a New York movie.
That was like his main thing. He was like, where can we set this? And he was like, it has to be New York. That's my decision.
Because he's Jerry Seinfeld. Like, that's not surprising whatsoever.
But yeah, so Barry lands in their house, and he flies towards what he thinks is the sun. But it turns out to be a light bulb.
Oh, yeah.
Hits the light bulb, lands in, like, a bowl of guac. And then...
Movie's a nightmare. It's insane.
And then Ken tries to kill him because he's allergic. So he gets, like, this boot,
he almost gets eaten first.
Yeah.
And then he gets
murdered. Almost gets murdered. And then Vanessa she's a sweetheart. I think it's Renee Zellweger.
I think so,
That's who the voice is. But she saves him. And puts him outside, and he says he kind of talks himself into saying something to her because she saved his life.
Yeah, because it's like a big rule that bees are not allowed to talk to humans.
That's like their one.
Yeah, their one thing.
It's a law. It's a bee law.
No, because before he said that, I assumed when the bees were speaking English, if I was a human, I'd just hear biz biz biz.
Right.
But no, they're speaking English.
Yeah.
They're fully speaking English.
Well, because that's a bit later on when they're in the courtroom.
Oh,
which we'll get to that. He goes biz biz biz.
This ends up being a
just kidding.
Trial movie, which is crazy.
But yeah, it actually is great. But yeah, so he comes back in, and he's like, I have to say something. He says hi to her, and she freaks the fuck out.
Okay, who wouldn't?
Well, yeah, who wouldn't? But she like kind of quickly comes.
Like too quickly. I had the same thought. Yeah.
She like comes to the realization like this is normal, and I was like, no.
This is weird.
This is not normal. Yeah.
This is like. If this happened to me, whenever the bee left, I'd probably call some sort of therapy line or something like that. Maybe my doctor.
Yeah.
Like, I just had a full conversation with a bee. I always be like, yeah, that's a thing now.
Yeah, it's insane. And also, there's this weird cutaway where she's like, oh, this is normal. And then they're out like on...
like the terrace.
And they're having coffee. And like, he is like he's like doing stand-up to her.
Yeah, okay,
like,
so
I'm
glad you got to this point. So this is now where I start to reveal a little bit about how I'm not maybe a huge fan of this movie.
Sure.
So up until this point, I really liked, what's his name? I just call him Jerry Seinfeld.
Barry Seinfeld.
Barry Seinfeld. I really like Barry Seinfeld. It was like, he's a cute character, whatever. But you have these moments where when you said this movie, one of the writers was Jerry Seinfeld, and I said I'm not surprised. It's because moments like this, where the character stops being the character and he just becomes Jerry Seinfeld, and it's so distracting.
As a kid, had no idea because I didn't know who he was.
Oh, like that's
I didn't know like there was like
there's a comedian doing the voice. Even
not even that, but it's like I didn't know. Even if I knew who Seinfeld was, I didn't even know that like comedians had tropes about them.
Oh,
like this
fair.
is a Seinfeld voice bit. This is a whatever.
Yeah, like
Chris Stefano like bit or whatever.
Chappelle.
Yeah.
But like I think like and this comes up a couple times, but that's one of my bigger complaints with this movie, is when that happens, it doesn't feel like, it literally feels like a different character.
Yeah.
So I'm like...
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it feels like Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, like I feel like the character I saw wouldn't be doing those bits.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's funny, because it's like this cutaway where she, like, comes to, she's like, oh, this is normal.
It's very normal.
Then he's like, what's the deal with it?
It's ridiculous. It's such a Jerry Seinfeld bit.
And he's not like, oh, this is so weird, like, we're...
No,
it's just... They're just having coffee.
Yeah, and then she's like, you're funny. It's like, most of us bees are. I'm like, that's not enough. You can't... No, nice try. These are just all stand-up comedians, really? That's what you're trying to set up?
That would be really funny if he casts all, like, huge comedians.
Okay, that could have worked.
Other than, like, oh, I have Chris Rock.
But he's
like,
not a
if
bee.
all of them were bees.
Yeah, that would be cool. If all
like
bees were, like, doing stand-up, that's the only way to get away with that.
And, like, the end of the movie, they just, like, start, like, a bee, like, stand-up New
Why
York.
not? Yeah.
But yeah, so they chat for a bit over coffee, and Barry goes back to the hive and explains to Adam how good life is out there, and he talks about Vanessa.
He's all in love.
To him,
He's all in love with Vanessa.
He's obsessed. And Adam, you know, naturally is freaking out. He's like, this is a law, you're breaking it. What a horrible thing you're doing. Don't do that. And so then we cut to very disappointed parents.
Yeah, get it?
Yeah, Barry Seinfeld. And they nag him as he floats in the pool because they're like, you have to get a job. Why aren't you picking your heads like all over the place? And then he's like, don't talk to me. And he floats to the bottom.
Dreams about Vanessa
as they're on a date.
Yeah.
And she gets in an airplane. And I remember this vividly as a kid because it like traumatized me. Because she gets in a plane and they're like all in love. And she like zooms up, she like makes like a little heart in the sky, and as she's finishing the heart, she crashes into the side. Yeah, she crashed. She crashed into the side of a mountain, and the plane explodes and she dies. Dead. And then he comes to at the bottom of the pool and he swims back up. Yeah.
It was the most like nightmarish scene. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what happened to this movie?
It was crazy. Also, just like a logistical thing, they can't fly in rain, but they can swim in honey.
Oh yeah.
I just didn't really get that much. Like they have pools.
Yeah,
it's honey. Like I don't really get the.
And also, they eat the honey to stay alive, but they also swim.
Yeah.
And he uses it as like hand wash and hair gel.
I think it's just multi-purpose. They just add different substances.
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
I don't know. Yeah, sure.
It's a movie called The Bee Movie. What do you expect?
Yeah. But yeah, so he comes up to the surface and then he immediately flies away and he goes to see her because he's like, this is a crazy thing I just saw. And then this is where it comes up where the mom says she just hopes the girl he's seeing is bee-ish. They don't know that it's a person.
Yeah.
Which is just Jewish. It like keeps coming up.
It's just a joke for Jewish.
But yeah, so he hangs out with Vanessa for a bit, again, totally normally.
Yeah, but what's the problem?
Yeah. And then they go to a store, and Barry sees that humans have stolen honey. It's all bottled honey on the...
Here we go.
Yeah, on the wall. Yeah, it takes a complete turn.
It really does.
Full 180.
You think it's just going to go in the full direction of Hop?
Yeah.
But nope, it's just like, we're going to make this a court drama now.
Yeah.
It's fully changed.
Like, the love story, kind of just fizzles out.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he even had a crush on Vanessa.
Yeah, because that's where, like, I thought, like, okay, when you're watching the movie, if you've never seen it before, you're like, okay, this is going to be a thing where he wants to go out to see the real world, and he falls in love with this girl, and it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing, no one wants them to be together, but then they end up getting together, and that's the end.
No.
But then it turns into this legal court drama.
It's so weird.
It's a crazy turn.
It's so off-putting.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where because it's all comedians and writers of Seinfeld in a room,
yeah,
they're like, there's the punch. It's like it's not that.
We turn
there's
it into
the
a court
misdirect.
Drama.
Yeah.
Which is saying it out loud is pretty funny.
It is
but
funny.
when you're watching
it's weird.
It's weird.
Definitely. Although I did really like some of the bits in there. I thought they were good. But we'll get to that. But yeah, so he sees that humans have stolen honey, bottled it, and sold it for a discount, and that's like one of the big
50% off. He's freaking
and he's like, this is we need this to survive, and we're living. I think he says we're living on 2 cups a year, and you guys are selling it for a discount. It's crazy. And he's like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this madness because they work so hard to make the honey, and they do one job their whole lives, and humans are stealing it. So he goes to a packing warehouse where they make...
He tracks him down.
Yeah. and he gets into a fight with a guy. Like the guy like takes like a thumbtack and they start fighting, sword fighting.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And he convinces the guy to tell him where they steal the honey. And he tells them it's at this place called, I think it's Honey Farms.
Honey Farms.
Yeah,
right?
Honey Farms. Yeah. Very on the nose. But yeah, so he starts his journey and to Honey Farms. And he lands on a windshield of a truck. And he sees all these dead bugs.
I forgot about this part too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he sees this is kind of similar to Open Season for me, where it's kind of just like weird inserts. Although this is more of like an objective. Yeah.
Yeah. This one does a better job of it. But
yeah,
there you do have those elements to it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, he lands on a windshield of a truck. He sees all these dead bugs, but then he sees this one mosquito who's alive.
Oh.
And the mosquito is played by Chris Rock.
Hell yeah.
And this was, again, like I was saying, my intro to Chris Rock. And they have this great conversation, and I was loving every second of it, then and now. I was like, this is great. So he arrives, he kind of parts ways, they part ways, and he arrives at Honey Farms to find that there are hundreds of, what are those called? It's like the fake, like, beehive boxes where they, like, slide it up and they like gas them. And,
it's like when you see like, beekeepers and fake beehives and all that.
For those of you listening, you know what I'm talking about. But there's hundreds of those, and bees are being like stripped of their honey and they're being gassed and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And Barry has like a camera, and he takes pictures of all of this.
He's documenting like, evidence. Like he's like undercover.
He's a private investigator at this point. And he shows his family, saying that he needs to do something about it, and his parents. They find out about Vanessa and they start freaking out, but they're also like, this is stupid. Like, this isn't real. It's a conspiracy. Like, his uncle's there.
Photoshopped and stuff. Yeah.
It's a crazy, crazy time. But then, immediately after that, they cut to a news program run by bees saying that Barry is suing humans for the issue, and then he ends up on Bee Larry King. Which, very briefly, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, can we please?
Because when was it established that like everyone now knows who this talking bee is, and they're so fine with it?
All of them are okay with it. I was stunned.
All of them are fine with it.
They're going to the court system.
Yeah.
A bunch of bees and talking bees.
Yeah.
And that's just like, yep. Like we're
and they're
so
like,
cool
okay, yeah, you're allowed to sue.
There's so many questions.
But it's not. It's like it would be more acceptable if they had a minute to be like, well, who's this talking bee?
What's going on? They just were like, this is a thing.
Yeah, it just took such a hard pivot where I was like, how is this?
Yeah, it was so jarring.
Like they're all fine with it. He's legally suing them. I didn't even know he knew what that was.
Yeah, they have like citizenships. Like that's all like no problem.
So fine.
So fine.
So it's like immediately it's like cut to whatever, the courtroom.
In court.
And everyone's totally cool with it. But yeah, so anyways, before any of that happens, Barry meets Ken in the human world, and I guess the human world, whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Outside of the hive.
And, and Vanessa kicks Ken out of Yogurt Night, which this is one of the jokes where he goes out of the shop and he screams
to himself. Yeah.
And I, as a kid, I was like, I think that's where my love of Patrick Warburton started.
That's so fair.
Like, it's Yogurt Night! And it's like his voice, and I was just like,
I will say,
it was
like,
the best.
There's a couple like very high praises I want to give this movie.
Yeah,
he is one of them.
Yeah,
I think he's always been. This is in the third episode where he is such a highlight of this movie. He always kills it.
He's amazing. But yeah, so Vanessa kicks Ken out of Yogurt Night, which he's so upset about, and I love it so much. But she's helping Barry plan out how he can get the upper hand in court. Which again, she's a florist. She's not a lawyer.
No, she is now.
And also, I'm pretty sure that Barry and Adam are like, they're just now lawyers.
Yeah.
Like they just are like, yep, we know law.
Even though they didn't know anything about, they've somehow studied the entire law. So they went to law school. All
like
of it. Just done. Done.
Yeah, they just don't explain any of that.
Nothing.
Especially because at the end, like we'll get to it, but at the end, like he has his own like office to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And that's just
to
what he does.
Lawyer.
Yeah. But yeah, so then we immediately cut to the courtroom, and everyone, is just totally fine that he talks. Yeah. And the lawyer of the 5 major food companies comes in, and he's just a huge jerk. He's this big. He's this dude that's just like, he's an ass. But Barry pleads his case and calls the owner of Honey Farms as his first witness, and then he absolutely dunks on him for keeping bees and putting honey in a bear.
He does a good job.
He does a great job, which again, I don't know how he does it.
I don't either.
Like, it's just not explained.
It's just pure chaos. And they bring out a bear.
Yeah, they bring in a real bear.
Just like... It was like, okay, here's what happened to me trying to view this movie. It's like, obviously, with any kids movie, and like just movies in general, most of kids movies, is they ask you to make quite a few logical leaps.
Yeah.
And most of them you're like, okay, bees talking, sure. You know, going in, talking to humans, sure. Getting upset about honey, sure, whatever. And then they take this ginormous leap and they never look back. Where they're like, hey, the world's cool and they're suing, and this is also a world where we can bring bears into court. And this is also a world where like we can do this. And like, I don't want to spoil everything coming up, but they just, there's so much crazy stuff, and I'm like, you're asking too much. Yeah. Like, it's too much.
It is.
Like, I was almost fully tapping out at this point.
Yeah, it is a little crazy. But then he brings in Ray Liotta, like real life Ray Liotta. And this is an animated version of him, voiced by him.
There's another one. Right, this is too far.
Yeah, R.I.P. by the way. And he calls. Those of you listening, Pelton just like made the sign of the cross.
Also, we didn't say rest in peace, Larry King.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, Larry King.
Also, we're not going to question why there was a B. Are there B celebrities for everyone else? Like, there was another one. We kind of blew past that. Let's circle back to B. Larry King. Nothing's making sense here.
Because does that mean, is there a B. Jerry Seinfeld? Or
is there a B. Ray Liotta?
True. Yeah.
What's going on here?
I don't exactly.
Because they call him B. Larry King. It's not like it's Larry King and it's just A. B.
Yeah.
His name is B. Larry King. Like, I don't.
And there's like a whole bit of like. That's where like the Jewish thing comes in, because he's like, oh, did you know that like there is a
real life counter?
Yeah.
And also,
it is wild. Okay,
let me ask you, because you watched this movie a bunch as a kid. Did you know who Larry King was as a kid?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Okay. I knew he was a talk show host of some kind. I never watched any of his stuff.
I have, yeah.
But now that I'm thinking of it, I might have just known who he was because of this movie. Same thing with Ray Liotta. I remember like a really famous like douchebag actor in the movie. Never knew it was Ray Liotta until like pretty recently.
There you go.
And like upon this rewatch, I was like, was he that big of a jerk? Or like, are they just like hyping it up?
They're probably hyping it up just as a joke. But it is okay. Well, maybe if it is your introduction, then maybe I guess it still stands. But it is weird to have those two be cameos. Like, I'm sure that like obviously I know Larry King's like. There's this connection there with Jerry Seinfeld. Ray Liotta, I don't know of one. There probably is. I'm sure there is. But just like for a kids movie, those are two strange ones.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
They also have like a Goodfellas joke. I'm like, what kid? No
kid is understanding this.
Yeah,
and I get like even like a Goodfellas, like stuff like that, like just for like the parents just sitting in the theater. Sure. But a full like 2 to 3 minutes of just Larry King, and it's literally just Larry King. Is so bizarre.
It is very strange. It might be one of those things where it's just for the parents, because it's like they're having a talk show, but they just wanted to bring in a celebrity for the talk show.
Might as well make it Larry King.
Yeah,
sure.
But yeah, so they bring in Ray Liotta, and he's called out for being crazy, just like a lunatic. And then as they call him out for it, he starts to like
become a lunatic,
boil up, and he starts to freak out. And he tries to kill Barry, and this fully just ruins his career.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
He's now canceled forever.
Yeah. And then we cut to Vanessa's house, and, Ken comes home. This is kind of this weird thing where it's cutting from the hive to Vanessa's house to the courtroom, and that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. And Ken comes home and is very pissed because he thinks that Barry is stealing Vanessa from him.
Wasn't Barry sitting in his chair?
For awesome. Dinner. And he's cutting like just the smallest piece of steak, or like whatever it was, ever. And they have, I don't know, B-sized utensils. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I think in this world they probably manufactured them. They don't very much accept these.
Right. But yeah, so Barry, he goes to the bathroom. And then Ken comes in and he tries to kill him. Big time.
It's like, intense. He's like, there's a flame. He's burning his house down to kill this bee.
He tries to light him on fire. He tries to flush him down the toilet.
Right.
And then he
surfs out of the toilet.
He surfs out of the toilet, which is great. He knows that too.
Yeah, why not?
And because isn't the thing, like, they can't fly in the rains. They don't like water.
Totally cool.
But he just
I thought.
knows how to
he lost. Surf. Yeah. No, he knows how to surf. Again, it was another example of like, you're asking too much.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It is wild. But anyways, so again, cut back to the courtroom, and the lawyer for the 5 major food companies instigates madness, and Adam goes in and he gets very upset and he stings the lawyer. His name's Montgomery, by the way. I don't know if I said that. and is put in a hospital because that's like their thing is like they actually talk about it in the beginning of the movie where their friend like stung someone and he was like, I don't feel bad because like you know that if you sting someone you die.
Yeah, you die. Which that is a real thing, right? If a bee stings you, it's pretty much death. Okay.
Except I think a wasp or a yellow jacket.
Just do it forever.
One of them can just. I think it's a wasp. One of them can just do.
Dude, those things are evil. That's crazy.
I think I got stung by wasps because like I like brushed them off and they just flew away. And I was like, you
totally fine.
Bitch, like you don't even get to die after this. Like that sucked. But I guess God bless because they're pollinating our flowers, which comes up in this movie.
It turns out we need them.
Yeah, it's a whole activism movie, which is great. I guess
I didn't know Jerry Seinfeld was that into like bees,
flowers
and bees. Yeah.
But yeah, so Adam goes in and stings Montgomery, the lawyer, and he's put in a hospital. And honestly, he pretty quickly recovers. But he has like a sword, a little like sandwich sword as his stinger, which is pretty funny. Yeah. And then they bring in a smoke machine, like one of the little smoker things for the like bee keeper thingies, to prove that bees are being taken advantage of. And for whatever reason, the court rules in the favor of bees. They win.
Bees win.
They win outright with no lawyer experience. This is like the top lawyer in all of the major food companies. This is like this is a big it's insane. And also I'm pretty sure the what is that person called?
What?
It's like the judge.
The judge?
Yes. I'm pretty sure the judge, like her name is like a bee pun.
What was her name?
I don't remember, but I remember it was a bee pun of some sort.
Okay.
Something like that. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. But yeah, so Barry then basically runs the project to get honey back to the bees. And like he almost kills an old woman. This is where Winnie the Pooh comes in. He has like the cops like knock out Winnie the Pooh with like a tranquilizer.
I don't remember that.
They shoot him with a tranquilizer and knocks him out.
That's
and
crazy.
They tell Piglet like, oh, it'll wear off in like 1 to 2 hours, but they steal the honey from him. And they're like, it's mine.
Did I just
It's like an
fall asleep
insert
for
like 15 seconds.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. And then back at the hive, they stop honey production because they don't have to make it anymore. And all the bees kind of kick back.
Now, that's where I'm confused.
Yeah.
Why don't they have to make it anymore?
Because they are bringing all the honeys back to the bees, so humans can't consume honey anymore.
So they're just taking the humans' honey.
Yeah, because they're made
eating that.
Exactly. So they can live forever off of this honey
that does make sense. Now, here's my biggest question. Now, I guess maybe even like criticism. I'm not sure though.
Yeah.
So when we first found out that the humans were taking the honey and the bees didn't know, and they're like, hey, we're going to sue. And I was like, oh, I know exactly where this movie's going. Yeah. It's going to become a thing because humans still need honey because we love honey. So it's like, hey, the bees are going to make the honey and like we're going to sell it to you guys. Like we're both benefiting. We live together. You still get your honey. We're still making stuff. But no, this movie does not take that approach.
No.
This movie goes to the world is dying.
Yep.
And then by the end, I think humans still don't have honey. Or they're making honey, but again for themselves. Like that's.
I think they have like a partnership at some point where they're like, we're selling it. I think that's where it goes.
That's where it goes, right?
Because they like start selling it to the humans. They're like, we'll give it to you because we like now are in cahoots with you because you guys helped us or whatever.
Okay.
Something like that.
I must have missed that because I was like, by the end of it, I was like, wait, are they just gonna leave that unresolved? Like that's so strange that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think they realize that. Even though, because I think they actually say this in the movie. One of the characters, it's like a bit of dialogue where they're like, I don't care if humans are taking the honey, like we need to make it. Yeah. Like there's no, like everyone becomes depressed. All the bees
all the bees stop working.
So they're like, I don't even care if they take it anymore because like.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, like we need to make it, and like also the flowers are not pollinated. Any of that
the world is really dying.
Yeah.
By the end of this movie.
But so after all the bees kind of kick back and go on vacation, many weeks go by. We kind of see like the sun goes up. Yeah. And Vanessa's flower shop goes out of business because of the lack of pollination and like all of the world is dying.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All the flowers are dying.
It's really over the top of like how I'm sure like it probably would actually happen if bees all go extinct, but like they show it and it's almost like creepy.
Yeah.
Like almost like
it's like all desolate. It almost looks like Endgame, like the beginning of Endgame.
It does
It's like the what is it? Like the baseball field where it's like all dark and
empty and shit. Yeah.
But yeah, and the bees are, like I was saying, the bees are all depressed because like the lack of purpose and lack of work.
Yeah, nothing to do. They have their honey, so
exactly. But so Barry pleads with Vanessa because Vanessa's upset with Barry for whatever reason.
I was confused by that. She's pissed at him, like, this is your fault.
Because I guess her flower shop, like, shut down.
She was there for every step of the... Like, both of them didn't know this is what would happen.
Yeah.
I was confused.
Yeah, she gets upset at him, but then he pleads with her, and they come up with a plan to repollinate New York. So they kind of get back together, and they come up with this master plan. So their plan is to steal a flower float from the parade, flower,
big flower parade
thing in Los Angeles. Put the flowers on a plane to New York.
Of course they do, because they don't want to stay in LA.
Yeah, and then repollinate from there for whatever reason. Because
there's only bees in New York.
I also you can't just start in LA and work your way to New York. I guess not.
No,
yeah.
It's a sci-fi movie.
It's a selfish act on Vanessa's part. She wants her shop open, which I get. But But the weather is causing for a delay on the plane, which is the big.
Oh my god, I forgot about this whole section.
Yeah. And the flowers are gonna die. That's the big thing.
Because they're not in water, they're not gonna survive.
Yeah. It's also it's a 6-hour flight plus however long the delay is.
Yeah.
Because they have to go back to New York. They can't just do it in Alabama or whatever.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And then Barry goes in and he tries to talk with the pilots, and they freak out, and then he accidentally knocks them out fully.
Here we go.
Which also they never come to. I don't know how far along. I think they might be dead. But it also doesn't really make sense because if the flight is 6 hours long and they just get knocked out, at what point on the flight are they realizing? At one point are they knocked out? Is it another hour, or is it they're flying that shit for 7 hours? You know what I mean?
Most
in
of
a while.
The flight, yeah.
But then Barry and Vanessa now have to land the plane. This is their thing.
Yeah, here we go.
They don't ever
some random citizen.
Yeah, they also don't ever ask anyone on board.
No,
if
not
no
once.
one's is a pilot, and also the people on board never we find out they never just know what's going on.
And also, wait, it just hit me. Where are all the the flight attendants and stuff?
Gone.
They
died.
They died too.
Adam came in with his sword and killed them all.
Sure.
Yeah. But so all the bees realize that this is the only way that they're going to get back to work. So they all leave the hive and they lift the plane. They all get under the plane and they lift it.
Up,
they're strong motherfuckers.
Apparently.
But so they land the plane somehow. I don't know how, but they somehow do it.
This movie is just criminal. It becomes a court movie, then it stops being a court movie, and now it's a superhero movie kind of.
And then at the very end, they're like, "Oh, remember the love story?"
Yeah, we're gonna bring that back. Yeah.
It is all over the place if you really break it down.
Yeah.
But I will say, as you're watching the movie, it's not it's not as crazy as we're making it seem. It's this kind of makes sense.
I don't
where
know.
It's going. I think
as someone who's watching it for the first time, and I'm 21, I was like, this is as crazy as I'm describing it.
Sure.
I was like, this is out of control.
Yeah. As I rewatched it, I was a little oh, okay, this is a little more all over the place than I realized. But as a kid, I very much was like, this all makes sense.
That's fair.
So it does its job for kids, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
So they land the plane, and Barry earns his stripes. This is my way of saying he gets a spot on the pollen jocks, and they repollinate all the flowers, and they start honey production again.
Yeah.
And this is all to a cover of the song "Here Comes the Sun," which I thought was fun.
Which I was so scared by. I did not see that coming.
The cover. This is the one thing I like. Every time I hear that song, I think of this movie.
Why? Because the Bee Movie?
My whole life, I only ever heard this cover of this song. So then when I heard it from the Beatles for the first time, I was like, oh my god, this is even better. I was almost rediscovering it, rediscovering it, even though I already knew the song. And then when I re-listened to it, I was like, every single time I hear this, I think of this movie.
Okay, quick side tangent, nothing to do with this movie, just how I discovered the Beatles. So it was kindergarten or one of those two. It was back in the day when you were required to do singing.
Oh, okay.
You know, the whole class had to do it. So we had chorus. That's the word. Thank you.
I was in that as well.
Yeah, it was in chorus because it was just required, and our teacher was rad as hell. So hey, instead of doing a normal concert, we're gonna do a Beatles concert.
You did? Was it Beatles acapella?
All Beatles. It was all Beatles acapella. It was a bunch of little.
What?
I have a video of it, and one day I'm sure I'll release it.
Oh my god!
It's a bunch of 7-year-old kids covering 5 Beatles songs. It's just all straight.
Here Comes the Sun is one of them.
Here Comes the Sun was one of them. So that was my introduction to it. So I have a shirt that was peace and love. A girl peace and love shirts. Little it was the coolest thing.
Wild.
It was so rad. If I find a video of it, because it was one of the whole movies, I'll post it on Instagram the day this episode comes out.
Yeah.
So people can go to I'm Matthew Pelton or go to Greenlit. I think we're in the description somewhere. I'm sure we're tagged, whatever. You can see. Maybe we'll put it on the Instagram of Greenlit too. Yeah. See a little video of me singing "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles.
Funny. That's a great introduction to them, by the way.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But yeah, so then we cut to Barry with his new job as a lawyer for animals and insects because he's just qualified now. And also, he fully lives in the real world.
He has all the training. He did not go back to the hive. He lives in the real world.
And I guess, also, I don't even want to bring this up because I don't want to think about it, but, like, are Vanessa and Barry, like, a thing?
I know, it was weird.
Because they kind of just leave it as, like...
Yeah, they do.
Because there's this whole thing about where Ken comes up and he's like, he's stealing my spot because she changes the name, by the way, of the florist shop to Vanessa and Barry's. Yeah. Instead of Vanessa and Ken's or whatever it used to be. And Ken gets so upset, and then his friend like walks him away. He's like, it's okay. But that's where the movie ends.
That's the end.
So it's like, you don't really know if like they're still together or if they
She's hooking up with a bee.
Or like, that's what I'm saying is like, what is the relationship?
It's a very weird implication.
What's going on? But yeah, that's exactly where the movie ends, and then all is well in the world, and that's
the B movie.
Well, that's B movie, not the B movie.
Shit, that's B movie.
I said it too. It's okay. So final thoughts. Do you want to start because
sure.
This is similar to open season.
Yeah. So okay, I rag on this movie a lot, but it's not as bad as I think. How I talk about it comes across. To me, the like B movie probably more than any of the summer session movies is like the most okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I finished it. I'm like that was a movie.
Yeah.
Like and it's to me it is definitely as crazy as it sounds. And I felt like it was too much during it. I'm like this is way too much. Like that's why I definitely can't say I feel positively about it whatsoever. But we've definitely seen worse on this show.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd say it's bad. I'd say it's borderline bad. As someone who's watching it for the first time, no nostalgia whatsoever. Yeah. I was not a huge fan. But, like, it's one of those movies, like, give it a week, I'll forget everything about this movie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's, again, the nostalgia mixed with... Well, I guess mainly the nostalgia, but it's... For me, it's a comfort movie. Like, growing up, I watched
That's fair, yeah.
This is my introduction to so many
Chris
big
Rock,
celebrities.
Seinfeld, possibly Matthew Broderick.
Patrick Warburton. Like, this is my guy.
Our big boy. Yeah.
And then, like, the Beatles. Like, this is
all... Yeah, that too.
It's all nostalgia for me, and then also rewatching it, I've remembered, like, how much of a comfort movie it is for me. Like, I'll put this on at any point if I'm anxious at all, and it'll calm me down.
You feel better, yeah.
Prime example. I was saving this story for the end. Freshman year of Emerson.
Oh, before we knew each other.
My second day here.
Okay.
I had a horrible anxiety attack because I felt like I wasn't making any friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just knew my friends from home my whole life, and this was the first time I was ever without them. This is the first time I wasn't living at home.
It's like a big restart. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was feeling very anxious because it was also COVID, and I was in LB, and we were in like I was in such a small room. Yeah. It was horrible. This was before we met.
Yeah. And you're welcome.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But I put this movie on.
Did you really?
And I watched the B movie in my bed without, like, I didn't want to go out and do anything because I was so anxious. And it made me feel better. And that was it.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, it was a great day. I think I actually posted it, like, on my story. And I was looking through my stories the other day, and I was like, oh my God.
B movie.
We're covering the B movie. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a comfort movie for me. I liked it upon rewatch. I felt like everything felt so nostalgic for me, and it held up. Even though the pacing was fast, that was kind of my one negative with it. I liked all the characters. I like just kind of everything about it. All the bits. I like the character.
Yeah.
The acting and the kind of development with them. And that's that. One final thought. This is the first time we get to do this for summer sessions.
Oh, let's do it. We can actually synchronize it.
One final thought. About B movie.
No weird breaks this time.
No weird breaks.
Yeah.
I can't believe this got greenlit.
Yes. Oh, that felt good.
Yes. Thank you all for listening. It's been a wonderful time. We're back in person. I'm very excited to go back to the studio, but for now...
Yeah, coming up soon. Season 2.
Yes, this will do. So this was my episode for this week. And next week Do you wanna? This is Pelton's choice, so it's up to you. This is the first time I'm hearing this.
I have to apologize in advance. This is not going to be a fun choice.
Oh, okay,
I just know it's not.
I'm excited.
Now, also, what's kind of freaky, we also just realized this is the last movie we're covering for summer sessions.
Yeah, before our big finale.
Yeah, because we're going to do the same thing we did with season 1 finale. We're going to do a big recap celebration of summer sessions. So it's a weird note to end on, but we've done a lot of live action. I think Fred, the movie's been our only live action of summer sessions. And all of them have been specifically tailored towards kids. So I'm going to pick one that's live action. And
I think I know where this is going.
Kids can watch it, but it's not specifically tailored towards kids.
Okay.
And it's a big one of me growing up.
I know where this is going. Go for it.
Then the movie I'm picking is Batman and Robin.
I knew it. I knew it as soon as you said it's not tailored towards kids. Or it could be.
It could, but it's not.
This is the George Clooney?
This is the George Clooney Batman film.
I remember you pitched me this at some point.
Because I asked you, I was like, can this even really count?
Yeah.
Because it's before we were born, Batman and Robin, yeah.
But it was a childhood movie.
Yeah, and I'll explain, you have to wait for the episode, but I'll explain the story there, but...
Anyways, tune in next week for...
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. And we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
See ya!